Is a perfect fairy tale ending still perfect if it gets a third act? Today, we're talking about The Princess Diaries 3 and discussing whether this movie has any business existing. Or are we just nostalgic and hoping for the best? The Princess Diaries, released in 2001, follows Mia Thermopolis, an awkward 15-year-old San Franciscan who discovers she is the heir to the throne of Genovia, a small European kingdom. Guided by her grandmother, Queen Clarisse, Mia goes from invisible teenager to poised princess across the first film. The 2004 sequel, Royal Engagement, picks up with Mia navigating the pressure to marry before she can be crowned queen, ultimately choosing to rule on her own terms without a husband required. She is crowned. The kingdom cheers. The fairy tale ends. It is genuinely a satisfying conclusion. Here is the thing about perfect endings. They are rare. Royal Engagement lands Mia exactly where she needs to be, not just romantically, but politically and personally. She fights for a law that would let her rule without marriage, wins that fight, and steps into her power. That is not just a feel-good moment. That is a feminist arc completed. Mia's journey from self-doubt to self-governance is the whole point of these films, and the second movie closes it cleanly. So the question of whether a third film should exist is really a question of whether there is more story worth telling, or whether Hollywood is simply mining nostalgia for a reliable paycheck. And right now, the evidence points uncomfortably toward the latter. We are in a sequel era defined less by creative hunger and more by brand recognition. Audiences showed up for Top Gun, Maverick, Jurassic World, and countless reboots not because the stories demanded continuation, but because the names felt safe and familiar. The risks here are real, and they are worth naming. The original films had a specific warmth that came from director Gary Marshall's light touch, the genuine chemistry between the two leads, and a pre-social media innocence that made Mia's transformation feel earned rather than performed. Recreating that is not impossible, but it is harder than it sounds. Over-modernizing Mia is the biggest trap. If the third film tries too hard to be current, parachuting in commentary on social media, celebrity culture, or millennial burnout, it risks flattening a character who worked precisely because she was specific, awkward, and earnest. Mia Thermopolis does not need to be relatable to a 2026 audience in a forced way. She needs to feel like herself, only older. There is also the tonal question. The charm of these films is rooted in sincerity. They are not ironic or self-aware. They believe in kindness, in mentorship, in the idea that a good person can also be a powerful one. If the new film winks too hard at its own nostalgia, or tries to deconstruct the princess fantasy rather than build on it, it will lose the very thing people are showing up for. That said, the opportunities here are genuinely exciting if the filmmakers are willing to take them seriously. A 40-something Mia, who has been ruling Genovia for 2 decades, is a fundamentally different character than the girl we met in 2001. What does leadership actually look like for her now? What compromises has she made? What does it cost to be a woman in power, even in a fictional kingdom? And what has she learned? The mentorship thread between Mia and Clarisse is the emotional engine of both original films, and there is rich territory in reversing it. An older Mia, perhaps now mentoring someone else, would be a natural and meaningful continuation of that dynamic. The Crazy Rich Asians director attached to the project has already spoken about celebrating female power, joy, and mentorship, which suggests at least some awareness of where the story's heart lives. Author Meg Cabot has confirmed the script includes returning characters, and that there is a unifying event that brings everyone back together. That is a promising structural choice. A reunion built around something meaningful, rather than manufactured conflict, could give the film the emotional grounding it needs. Here is the honest truth about what audiences are hoping for. They want to feel the way the original films made them feel. They want sincerity, warmth, and a Mia who still believes that decency and dignity matter. They are not showing up for plot twists or prestige filmmaking. They are showing up because these films meant something to them when they were young, and they want to know Mia is okay. That is not a cynical ask. That is actually a meaningful one. The best version of this film understands that and builds something worthy of it, rather than just cashing in on the affection. The title of Genovia's queen has been earned. The only question left is whether the story of how she wears that crown is worth telling. If The Princess Diaries 3 focuses on leadership, legacy, and the messy, rewarding work of becoming the woman you always hoped you would be, then yes, it absolutely should exist. This is Ladies First, watching women in movies. Here, we empower women by reviewing and discussing films that highlight their stories, struggles, and achievements. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.